Welcome to the Dawg and Gus show.
What's up, dog?
Gus, what's going on, man?
Not much. We have probably, I think, the coolest dude ever.
Oh, I'm going to have to agree.
He just showed up with like a 1930s guitar
Like it was just a thing,
in
right?
a 1960s truck with a beautiful patina.
Nice.
It's Trevor Alguire.
Nice. Welcome, Trevor.
Hey guys, how you doing, man? It's good to be here.
Thanks for coming, my man.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, tell us the story about the guitar, because you just kind of go on.
Yeah, no, man. It's just it was actually this afternoon. My buddy just sent me a text, and he just had a photo of this guitar. He always sends me stuff because he knows, I'm looking over. I said, you ever see anything? Just let me know. And anyways, he's a good buddy of mine, and yeah, he sent me this photo, and I'm like, man, that's an SS Stewart. Like, it's an old guitar. It could be 40s, 50s. I thought at the start. And I started doing a little bit of research on it. It's like mid-30s, pre-Harmony takeover. The Harmony guitars, I own several Harmony guitars. I love the old Harmonies. They were like the poor man's Gibson, basically.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And that's what they would call them. It was like you could buy a Gibson. I now own an old Gibson that I tour with all the time, but a J45, you could, back in, the 40s or whatever, 50s, you could buy it for like $129. That'd be like, what, $5,000 now?
Yeah.
Anyways,
That,
so
at least.
times have changed, right?
Yeah, slightly.
A little bit.
A little bit. So it's like back when we had pennies. Anyways, it's one of those deals. But anyways, they Harmony would make a guitar and they'd just say $69.99, and it would be the same wood, and like some of the luthiers, the guys that were making these things were artists, and I mean, it was incredible what you could get for a guitar. And now, I mean, I own a handful of them and some electrics too. But anyways, Harmony ended up taking over SS Stewart, but SS Stewart was its own company, and a lot of these companies were in Chicago and in places in the States, and it's just kind of cool to continue those. It's just like the old truck, man. I mean, to me, to be a part of building that, like to build that thing and to learn to weld and to fabricate and stress over cuts and things, but then go, okay, wait, I'm driving this thing now. It's like, and you're driving 1963 right by somebody, and to me, I love sharing it. That's the funnest part, is chatting with you guys, like side of the highway.
Side of the highway.
When a random guy just stops over and he finds out, I should know you. Now we start talking.
Yeah. We had mutual friends, and I was like, so Trevor's 63 beautiful truck was stuck on the side of the road, and he wasn't far from my house, and I was like, oh, I got to check out this truck. I pulled over, and another amazing truck pulled up, and I think it was your dad was in the car. Is that right? Yeah,
that was the one. We were going to get a 56 Merc for my son. It was my dad had given that to his younger brother, and we were just keeping it in the family. So
amazing.
There was a barn. Yeah, it was sitting in a barn it's like sort of that barn find story.
Unreal.
Right? But it was my uncle who had the truck, and it sat there for 50 years.
Unreal.
Crazy.
72. So.
Well, James told me the story of how, and I thought that you guys were already friends. He goes, no, man, I met him on the side of the road. And I'm like, how random is that for him? Like, he's bringing in all these people he knows from his childhood. No, I just met this guy on the side of the road.
Well, but the funny thing is it links to a lot of, like you said, it's like we probably did run into each other through the years. In fact, we would have for sure. And it's just kind of like it just rehashed it. But I mean, I love that, man. What better is it than to talk over, or just sort of just appreciate something together, history together. Music's like that, man. That's why I love writing songs. I mean, it's being able to tour, and it doesn't matter if you're in Germany or if you're in Prince Edward Island or if you're in
Campville,
dirty Alberta, or dirty Campville.
You'll be there this year, bud.
Hey, Campville's a great little spot. It's close to my home stop.
Say nice things about Campville. He's playing there. He may want to go back again.
Yeah,
it'll be good.
Oh, they're lucky to have him.
Oh,
so I just want to kind of go into it because Trevor, obviously a local musician, he's a business owner as well, and he has, he's a classic truck guy, so we got along right away. I found it so interesting that you so follow your passions. There's like, I found that such like, I don't know, breath of fresh air, like I love trucks, I'm going to get a truck, but that probably came from your dad and your uncles and stuff too, right?
My dad mostly. He was a custom car builder. I wish I would have paid closer attention because I was too busy skateboarding and then opening my own business at,
18.
As a kid, and it was instant sort of, grounding of friends are like, come on, man, we're doing an all-nighter, and I'm like, no, man, I got to open my store tomorrow. And like, why? You have your own business? What's your problem?
I'd love to.
I'm the smartest guy on the block is what my problem is.
Really? Yeah. I don't know what it was. I think it's passion driven, man. I'll be honest with you.
What?
And I'm lucky to have sort of street smarts, I think, and I've learned those street smarts and honed them because I was able to. I had two parents that were teachers, man. They were the most, like, dude, you talk about the most, they were reserved and, but yet such cool, open-minded people, and they knew when they had me, like, dude, my mom describes me as this. I basically was 8.5 months old. I stood up, I looked around, and I just ran down the middle of the hall. And she was like, what the hell?
I am so out of here.
There's this big fat baby running down the hall, and you never crawled. You never went from one thing to and that's me, man. I don't know what it was, but I was born to move, man. I'm trying to put in twice the amount of years in my ears.
You are.
Thanks, man. I'm trying.
Yeah.
Well, I have. It's funny because I'm like skateboarder, so I'm sorry, but the genre of music that we're listening to with you doesn't jive with skateboarders.
No,
I'm thinking like Blink
what?
182 and some 40. Those guys.
I went through all that stuff too.
Sure
I was around that, and I liked that stuff. What I used to listen to a lot was like Dinosaur Jr. and stuff like that, Jay Mascis. Oh, I love that stuff. Like, to me, early, there was so much stuff in the early days, but basically music was always in me, man. It was a big part of me. My parents were very musical, but my dad never really, he'd just be building custom cars, like a 57 Chevy or whatever. I'd be off the frame restoration. He'd be out there belting, but he'd always have the old school country tunes on. So, nice. I grew up around with George Jones and Freddie Fender and all these dudes who just basically, it's the good old boys, Waylon Jennings and
Waylon's my boy.
Willie Nelson, all those guys.
I kind of like him.
I knew you would, because so Dawg has a similar, like, his dad was very much into the country also.
Yeah,
so.
Right, man. And my dad is like, he didn't build old cars, but he loved the old cars, man.
I think it's just that generation.
Yeah, he used to help out at a garage where the guy would build them and stuff. He would come in, he'd just go in on his days off and help.
Yeah.
And that was my dad. But Freddie Fender. Funny you say that.
Freddie Fender.
I love Freddie.
Oh man, like so many of those, and those are memories that are embedded in my mind, right? And that's, my dad's still with us. My mom passed away sadly 3 years ago, I guess now. But just those memories. And my mom was, oh my gosh, such a music fan. That's been hard just because the fact that I always threw music by her. Like she'd get to hear stuff. I'd be in the studio and I'd sit down with my mom and dad. They'd both they'd want like a listening time where they'd just be like, okay, we're not going to talk. We're just going to listen. And they were that like supportive of their sons and their daughter. My sister, same thing. She's more like them. She's a bit more reserved, and she does, she's an awesome human being, but she just doesn't, I was the one. It was just, I wanted to meet people around the world. And I was in California. I was making snowboards at 20 years old in Canoga Park, California. I was, I had a shop. I was basically it was just sort of like a punk band back then. Like, I was just like a teenager. And it evolved because my dad kept saying, as I was playing, they also let me practice in the basement, man. I had like the windows pounding out. I had like a 4-stack of 12 Marshalls with a 5150 head on it, and it was like
in the basement.
Oh, the windows were popping out of the house, and I was playing with like full band. I had my drummer and a bass player, and we'd be pounding down there for 4 hours. My parents would just turn the TV up louder, watch the hockey game, or they'd go for a walk for 3 hours. They never said no to me.
That's cool.
When it was creative and positive, right? Like they knew when to say, "Hey, listen."
And that's awesome too. That's
So I got to give
probably
them that.
a big reason where you are today, right?
I say I wouldn't be here without that, because could you imagine how smothering it would be to a kid like me who felt school was like frickin' shackles and an orange jumpsuit. It was one piece, man. It was a terrible.
Yeah.
It was just not my thing. I'm just like, what am I doing here? I just need it out so I can prove what I can do.
You and Jensen went skateboarding.
Yeah, well, see, we fought it exactly. Yeah. Sean and I were the only 2, I think, or 3. There might have been Charlie might have skated for a bit too. Charlie Potter, he was there too. But it was fun. Those days, those are good memories. That we stood out because we were doing our own thing, and we're different. We're different, cut from different molds. If you know us all, you know.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. But
so Jensen is a mutual, like the mutual name that I brought up. They went to school together, but I was talking to Jensen, and he said Alguire is a legend, man. Like, Well, if you meet Jensen, he's always like a little bit.
He was always surfing.
And Were you in California at the same time?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because he was there for like 7 or 8 years.
Surfing before, like in high school. That's all he was doing, and skateboard was just an extension of surfing.
Right.
So
Sidewalk surfing.
So so cool.
That's where it came from, man.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, like James, I was listening to your stuff for the last few weeks since we talked about getting you on here, and I was like, man, he sounds a lot like, and I came up with Stacey Dean Campbell. who's a singer-songwriter.
Heard the name. I don't know the music too well.
Yeah, his newer stuff. You kind of sound similar. It's really it's really, really well written stuff, and I love it. But then today I was driving here and I was listening to the stuff again, and I thought Corey Morrow, who's a guy from
that's one I don't know.
Corey Morrow's from Texas.
Okay,
and the only reason I know him, I was driving through Texas and I stopped at this little shop to buy souvenirs for everybody coming back from Colorado. And I'm in the store and I'm hearing music and I'm like, man, I like this. What is this? And the guy's like, well, this is Corey Morrow. I'm like, okay. And he's like, I said, well, I want to buy a CD. And he goes, buddy, you just bought $100 worth of souvenirs. I'll give you the CD.
Yeah.
So he gave me, and I listened to that CD over and over and over again through 3 states.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, I'm like, yeah, that's what he sounds like. Some of the songs sound so similar, and it's like so awesome.
How better than to like experience music too when you're on the road or when you're traveling and when there's scenery going by you. Like I mean, when we're on tour, oh man, we have stories. It's insane. Like my crew out west there, at Jay Bradley and just so many. Andrew Buchert, another guy, toured with us for a while. He was a kid. It was funny. But we're touring out there, and like we'd stop. I mean, I make them all stop. We'd be late for or just punching the clock to get to a show in time to get sound check done, and I'd be making them stop in Winnipeg at 5 pawn shops because I'm just looking for old guitars or and they're driving them crazy. So these guys are like, dude, we have to babysit you. This is your tour. You've got to be there. And I always replied, I'm like, man, the show won't start till I get there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
They just look at me like, you're such an ass. They don't. But
they probably bought something.
I didn't mean to be late. It's just they totally did. But we'd be in places and like, we had this old van and basically had a cassette player in it. So we went looking, and sure enough, this one place had the holy grail of cassette tapes, and we were pulling like all this old school country and old, just such cool, like so many good memories and tunes on these cassettes. There was a bucket cassettes, so we bought like a dozen cassettes, and there we are. Some had slack. We're rolling up the slack and pushing them in there and going, oh man, some of them sounded good, some sounded a little sun bleached, but it was okay.
Yeah.
But just to be able to go down the road, and those are the memories. It's like I think of the people that I discovered through friends, like in of all places. Hayes Carl is a guy I'd met in Nashville, and he's a singer-songwriter, and basically he was sort of getting in with the Americana. I was at the Americana Music Awards for a couple of years and released an album there, and he was actually getting an award. I guess it was the second time I was there. Anyways, he was at the Ryman, and I was out back or whatever after, and he walks out of the back or whatever, and I just said, hey, man, I just chatted. So we just sort of befriended each other and chatted, maybe 4 or 5 hours before that, earlier in the day at a conference. And basically he walks out with his award, and I'm like, man, I said, hey, congrats, buddy, on the awards. Oh, thanks, Trev. He said, apparently I've been up and coming for 14 years. Up and coming artist of the year.
Oh my God, yeah.
Funny how that works.
I was going to say,
it's true. It's true. You don't know. I mean,
no.
Seriously, man. Yeah. It's very true. Now, speaking of awards, you were up for an ISC award in 2019, right? Like you're a semifinalist. I read that somewhere.
There's been a few. I've had a couple of those over the years.
That's pretty awesome. You're in some pretty rarefied company that people that have won that awards. There's a lot of them. I was scrolling through. I was like, holy crap! There's
really,
it's insane. Yeah,
I was scrolling through 2020. I'm like, I'm not done yet. Best jazz, best this. But the funny part, I had to chuckle about that. You were nominated semifinalist, but the award that won, the big award that year that won, was that Dance Monkey song. You know that song?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's
tones something or tones I or
know
something.
The one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's just the kids love it. Like I work at a school.
Yeah,
that comes on and they go nuts.
No, there you
just
go.
Nuts.
That's why they won.
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty much so.
Yeah, but the contest thing, like you said, it to me, it was hard for me to even end. Like I got friends saying, dude, you got like 70 recorded songs, you should, and there's some great songs, you should put them in. I'm like, I don't care what the content. It's like skateboarding, man. I never, people say, did you compete? And I'm like, the last thing I'd want to do on a skateboard is compete. It's like, yes, I did enter a couple of contests when I was a teenager, but I'm like, this is not what it's about. It's about hanging out with your friends. It's about self-progression. It's about teaching yourself to get your ass off the ground whenever you're bleeding and keep continuing. And that's what got me to where I am. And yeah, I mean, there's so many things that you can do that are outside of that,
Exactly. Yeah.
Makes sense. I mean, you seem to break down, like obviously as a musician, you're breaking down like old guitars and you're trying to see like the story of it. And like, that's why you're such a good songwriter, and I think that the skateboarding thing is just an extension of that, because you loved it so much, and now you're working on skateboards that you loved it so much that you were 18 years old and you opened a fucking skate shop, man. And probably we talked about it, but I think it's the oldest skate shop in North America.
Yeah, actually, I've been the only other one. I think it's in the world now, man. To be honest with you, if you look, PD's Hot Shop, Skull Skates.
Yeah.
PD, he's been around since the 80s. So him and I are the two pro, guys who actually cared about skating and focused and support skating.
Yep.
I mean, I have much respect for Skull Skates and for PD and his shop in BC, in Vancouver. And I mean, he left, he went to the States, I think, for a little bit and came back or something like that. But I mean, between the two of us, I know Mike V's a good friend of mine. So we've been talking, and we did a 30-year anniversary board together with his company, Street Plant. And basically, he said, I've been from Japan to California, dude. He said, there's no shops left like yours. Like he said, you are one of the. So I think the only one is, like I said, is Skull Skates or PD's Hot Shop in Van. Nice. So that's the two of us, I think, are the only 80s survivors. If there's anyone else, man, I'd love to show respect and reach out, because I'm totally stoked on that. But I mean, a lot of places went down after, I don't think many made it out of the 90s. And then when the ones that started in the 90s sort of, it's like it was a divide. Some gone, some not. And there's the big corporate thing now. Now we've got all these malls selling clothing and generic stuff and whatever.
Yeah, like you got all the
welcome
skater store.
Welcome to the Olympics and all this
street style,
great stuff where they can market us all and make us puppets. That to me, that's what competition is, because then they're like, jump around, make us money.
Yeah.
And that's what Red Bull is. That's what, and some of these guys are getting paid big on it, but basically if Jeep or one of these freaking huge companies, I shouldn't even mention them, but they basically put their name all over it all of a sudden on the Olympics and that, because you've corralled something that was not corrallable before. And that's the same with music, man. It's like, I love the guys that are out there beating the path. I meet guys that are like pro musicians, such good songwriters or such good musicians in many ways, and they're doing their own thing. They're filling a jar like I am, man. It's basically, I've never used anything like music. Had to be self-sufficient for me. I had to be a jar, and when it filled up, that's when I could move forward, recording or tour or whatever. If it was empty, I was empty. And I never treated it like, okay, I can borrow from this and work from this and do this. And that's, to me, that's like poison. You can't do that kind of stuff. To me, if you're successful in something, it's not because you're, a lawyer and you make an album or two because you've got, $500,000 just sitting under your rock pile out back. I mean, that's great and everything, but to me, that's not getting out there and getting dirty, down for the struggle, so to speak.
The hard part's the best part, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the
eventually
thing. I love the road, dude. I miss the road so much. I'm looking forward. We're going back out in the fall with a buddy of mine, and just the long haul driving, man. Just getting on the road and just to me,
driving across the prairies.
Yeah.
It's a time for inspiration.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Look, another wheat field.
Yeah,
great.
We saw this is the best story ever. We were touring from Kemptville. We went from basically here, played a show in Kemptville, and then went up through in Sudbury and Espanola, and I got some great friends up in that area. And man, music fan, crazy good music fans, amazing music fans. And we were going through, and we get through. I think it was Winnipeg, Saskatchewan. I don't know. I think it was Saskatchewan. Saskatoon. Anyways, we're going through, and we're just, like you said, it's just like open. And we're driving. It's getting closer towards dusk, but it's still really pretty bright out. And all of a sudden, you see way over these two little dots, and I'm like, oh, it looks like deer out there, And then we're driving. 5 minutes later, we're like, I think those are deer. And then like 10, 15, 20 minutes later, we're like, oh yeah, no, they're deer over there, way far in the field. But it was 25 minutes later, we almost hit them, and we had watched them almost hitting us for half an hour.
It's like a slow moving, like a vehicle coming at you.
Yeah,
right?
It was like, holy, where else could this happen? Man?
There's some deer, man.
At least it wasn't moose, because that would probably kill you.
No, but it was half an hour, and then we literally had to put the brakes on because they darted in front of us. And I'm thinking, dude, we watched this. Like, we were prepared for 33 minutes.
Yeah, guys, you saw us coming for 33 minutes.
Yeah,
and we gave you the heads up.
And we were like an hour away from after a 6-hour drive. We were an hour away from our show, and we almost wrote the van off. Like, literally, we almost clipped the one of the two because it decided to stagger and then come.
Yeah,
man.
Those deer, they just don't know.
Don't.
That's a great story. That's
a tour story.
It's funny. It's funny, like the similarities. I mean, obviously we've had a few musicians on, but everybody loves touring. like everybody loves touring? Is it because you just get the vibe from the fans? Is it like
I mean, and just to meet people. I mean, it's like you guys. I mean, it's nice to just sit down and just talk to people. To me, you know, I have teenage kids now, and I mean, the one thing I taught them very well, and they're both super social, is I said, just take time to talk with people, listen to people, because I said you can learn so much stuff, so much about life, and about, you know, it can be hard, heavy times. It can be stuff that hits you in the heart that you'll never forget. It can be stuff that, you know, like a light story, like I just said, being on the road with your buddies in a stinking van, you know, to me, take time, talk to people. And my kids are just like that. They're like old souls, which is awesome. My daughter's like now touring at 18. She's got her own money. She's got 3 jobs. She's saving up. She's been to, Greece and Portugal and whatever. In the last 9 months, she's been Greece, Portugal, Milan, Costa Rica, surfing, San Diego, Mexico. That's in 9 months. I'm like, I don't know where she's going to totally destroy me for traveling, but that's her own money. People were like, it's funny. My wife has her own business. She's self-made too. And she basically has these clients. She's telling the clients, they're asking about how's your daughter doing or whatever. And anyway, so that's what she's doing. And she said, like, wow, it must be expensive for you guys. And my wife's like, we're not paying for her. I said, that's her own money. She's like, she's 18. I'm like, yeah, she had 12 grand in the bank ready to go by the time she'd been working at this since she was 15.
Amazing.
So that's what I'm hoping is
a vision, right?
A vision. I think that's what passes it on. And I think you can look at it 2 ways. We've either raised confident, well-rounded social people who will have a lot of great relationships, or we've ruined our kids' lives, and maybe they should have just become silly servants and worked in Ottawa all their whole life. I don't know. Maybe that's
no. I think she's going the right way. I really do.
But there's you know, that some people think we're nuts, and I'm like, no,
not at all,
dude. And then there's other people look at her and go, I'm just proud. I'm proud of her just because she's her own person. And I got people saying, oh, your kids, are they going to take over your skate shop? And I'm like, hell no. They don't want anything to do with my skate shop. It's not them.
Yeah.
Skate shop's me.
Fair enough.
Yeah, like it's not so, and I don't push that upon them. My parents never did that. They never said
be a teacher.
Well, and the funny thing is now it's come full circle, because now we have 7 days a week skateboard lessons, and we have 9 weeks of skateboard camp. I'm a teacher.
There you are.
And I'm loving it. Like, I mean, that's the best, most rewarding part about my job right now.
Cool.
But that's a format that's fun, though. Like, if I was going to teach anything, I would be like, it'd be hockey, right?
So, if you're passionate, exactly.
Exactly. So that's something that's just going to be easy for you because you love it so freaking much.
I came back at midnight last night from playing hockey out in the West End in Canada. Like, I play twice a week with a bunch of young guys because I can't handle the guys that are my age. They just don't move quick enough.
Really?
You still got it,
I
can play some
still
hockey.
Got it? Yeah. I was I was not a finesse player when I played. I just didn't tape my stick. I just, okay, go get that guy.
It's fun though.
I love it. To me, it's the room. It's the room.
It's
like you said, it's the people.
Social, but then also it's a good way to get exercise without going to a gym or saying I'm going to get exercise.
And you don't feel like it's exercise because you're out there having a good time.
It's right. Yeah, when you're playing a sport or skateboarding or whatever, like when I like to golf, but it's a different thing. I actually walk and I actually take it seriously. But
that's cool.
Playing softball or playing all sports, like I just love football. I love all that stuff. So when you like it, it's not a workout because you're sweating at the end of it, and it doesn't matter. You know,
and that's exactly what you want for. I don't know what. You know your relationship, man. Your wife says, like you're better now because you went and got exercise for an hour and a half.
I'm lucky
it's
too.
Totally true. Like if I don't have music to get that out of my brain, I'd be like, no one could live with me.
Yeah.
I basically have an issue with that.
I'm the same. I think my partner is amazing, and she's so is mine. She's like, get out of the house.
Yeah. Well, you gotta go. Just go.
Go to your garden and like go to your like. I'm a gardener now.
There's nothing wrong. You know what? There's time. It's time to yourself, man. Like that's what I said to my daughter. I said she's now playing guitar. I think better than me. She's finger picking, teaching herself. She's got like one of my old guitars in her hand all the time.
Oh, amazing!
And it's just great. And she sang since she was like 1. Like she could sing like crazy pitch stuff.
Writing this down.
We're gonna have what's her first name?
Grace.
Grace.
She's just starting to write songs now. She's got 2 songs now. But I mean, I never people, again, the music thing, they're like, your kids got no man. Like they're gonna do their own thing. And my son's, he's got his own stuff. He's into more mechanics, and he likes how things are made, the engineering and stuff. He's got pit bikes, and we brought an excavator into our backyard. We got a yard on the river, and it's basically 100 by 300, and we basically just ripped a beautiful yard up and made berms and gap jumps, and like that's how crazy I am as a dad. Like,
nice.
Oh yeah, he's like, Dad, I want to put in a pit bike track. I'm like, let's do it. So we get his buddy's dad over, and like 4 hours, 5 hours later, we've got this kid's ripping around, all his buddies coming over. I'm thinking, this is what my parents let me do with skateboarding.
That's right.
So there you go.
And you know exactly where they are.
Right.
I think that's another thing too. I think that's probably where your parents
Smart.
were like, they like beat the shit out of the drums or do whatever you got to do downstairs.
Yeah.
But
they knew I'd be in trouble, man. The type of mind I have, I know, man, and I know through songwriting. I'm an old soul, but I also, I've gone through enough shit in my life that I basically, it comes out in my songs. All my stuff's real life stuff, man, and stuff I've felt and gone through and lost and or close friends lost. But I mean, I've, for my age, gone through enough stuff to write songs, and I know. I mean, when I started writing songs at 17 or that kind of thing, it was light, nothing. I had nothing to write about really. And then as soon as I got into the 20, 21, I lost a few close family members and just had more. I lost a good buddy, same thing, 21 years old. He was gone all of a sudden, and a kid I had grown up with basically my whole life. Those things just hit you. So I start writing about them, get them out of my brain, because that kind of stuff will trouble you otherwise. And some people hold on to that. And I was lucky enough to have that. And I told that to my daughter. I said, you've got this key that you can step into this room and just close the door behind you. And like you can see it in her the way she just sits there now and does that. And I mean, that's the same thing with my son with like, he could sit there and, you just take a carburetor apart and he's like in there fixing the carburetor. He's fixing his buddies in the driveway and he puts it back. He's in his own place. He's stepped into his own, and we all need that. You need to step out of your bed, put your feet on the floor and have something be excited about. And people don't do that enough these days. It just seems like they're just here thinking they're going to have this golden time when they're retired. I'm like, you might be dead before you're retired.
That's right.
That's my view. I was always like, I don't feel like I got time because I lost like my uncle and my grandpa and all in within a year. And then I lost my dad's student actually, who became a really best friend. They were like close buddies. And he died of cancer, left 3 kids under 6, and like he was like, they were at our house all the time. They were just part of our family. So you watch that, he deteriorates, and I'm kind of going, okay, I don't know how long I've got. I said, what if I'm gone at 25 or 30? Man, I've lost so many people. I'm realizing that, this isn't just a given that I'm going to be around till I'm like 95. My dad's dad lived to 101. My dad's 81, turning 82. But I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I've lived a life. When I turned 40, this is a great story. My mom, gave me a big hug, and she's like totally tears. And I'm like, I said, why are you crying, Mom? She's like, I didn't think you'd make it. That's what she said to me at 40. So see what I put my conservative.
Your mom sounds like she had a great sense of humor.
Oh, she totally did. She was quirky in that, but you could just tell. She said, like, I just, like when you jump on a plane, you didn't know anybody at the other end. You're going to California for a week to, start snowboard production on with a bunch of guys that were from Mexico and all over the place. These guys were great guys. But I mean, I said, I just got to go. This is something I want to do. And she just sat there totally, it's like the time when I was 12 and she dropped my buddy Jim and I off at the Civic Center. We'll go back to call it the Civic Center, okay, where the 67s play, if anyone needs to know where that is.
Yeah, TD Place.
TD Place is, it's got to have a corporate name. And
Civic Center to me, so in my heart, is still Civic Center.
It's always let's just call it the Civic Center.
Yeah.
So we won't give those guys their Anyways, so she basically dropped my buddy and I off, and there we stood at the doors walking in, and we're just like, this is rock and roll, a piece of our rock and roll history. We got black leather jackets on. This is 1982. We got Kodiak work boots with no laces in them, with the heels worn off because they shuffle along, And basically, we're going in there, and it's Judas Priest, man.
Oh.
It was, I forget what their big tour was with the big metal dude on the front. I don't know. Had the big anyway.
Yeah, I'm not a big Judas Priest fan, but so I wouldn't.
At the time, though.
Yeah. They were huge back then, for sure.
Yeah.
You know how she described it, though? She goes, I sat across the street at a donut shop and just prayed you came out alive. And I was thinking,
awesome.
I was thinking, that is pretty cool. Like, that's a story there. And, I mean, that's just a testament to my mom for letting me. Man, I'd go snowboarding, and my mom would, she'd drive me to some snowdrift in the middle of some field where it was like a drop, and I had seen it and out the window, and I wanted to go ride it. And basically, she'd sit there for 3 hours reading a book, or she'd come and like try snowboarding with me. Like anything that I was excited about she was supportive. And I mean, amazing. Man, yeah, I can't.
Lucky.
I'm very fortunate, man. That's why I'm the crazy person that you're seeing today is basically that. So I was let to be crazy.
And now a word from our sponsor.
We are currently recording Dawg and Gus in the podcast booth at Staples Studio, Ottawa, on 403 Bank Street, where they have everything to help your business work, learn, and grow. They are currently offering a clean and safe place to work with desks, offices, and drop-in memberships. More than a co-working space, Studio is a community to help you work, learn, and grow. For more information on pricing, please visit studio.stables.ca or contact the community manager at studio.ottawa@staples.ca. So, you don't ride anymore. I fucking love that song, by the way. I was listening, I don't know, I've listened to a lot of your stuff and I love all of it, but that song just kind of, I don't know, because nobody writes letters anymore.
And that was what that came from. I was thinking, my wife has grandparents, and my kids are so lucky. They got, my kids, I had great grandparents that I knew and loved, and they loved me, and they had great grandparents that they knew and, they loved and loved them. Like, it's crazy to have great grandparents. Some people don't have freaking parents, let alone grandparents.
It's true.
But I mean, you think of my wife basically has all the letters that her grandpa and grandma wrote to each other. He was from England and she was here, and I guess they had met. He was in the war. It was just through the war.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
So basically, these were like the only way of. Yeah, and I'm thinking, you just like what? And they ended up. They actually she didn't have them. She saw them all, and they were all in bundles, and she had kept them. But she literally didn't. She thought, when we go, these have to go, because she said was our life and our private. So she kind of just disposed of them or got rid of them. Maybe she burnt them. I don't know what she did, but her grandma did. But I got to know these people too. So when I see that kind of stuff, and I'm thinking, man, someone took time to sit down. There was no phone to put down. There was no TV to turn off. It was basically just like, I'm thinking of somebody. And it's like this today, us three just sitting in a room talking. I know it sounds, well, here's a podcast, whatever. You know what? No, man. It's like three human beings who are experiencing stuff. You guys have your own stories. Like, it's not about me as much as it's about us three sitting here. And I mean, that's what someone needed to write down and send somebody and say, hey, I'm thinking of you.
It's
I reached out to Jack Nunez, actually. I reached out to Jason there just after you mentioned him, because I tried to get touch with him in 2019, just pre the pandemic.
Yeah.
And he reached out and said, man, it'd be great. Let's do it. And as soon as that happened, everything shut down, and we kind of went, okay, we're going to have to wait. I look at my text, it's like 2019.
Yeah.
That time before that was 2016 or 15, because we had done the album together. So I'm kind of going, I want to just sit and, buy him a couple drinks and just sit down and chat for 3 hours, because I said, I miss him, man. I totally miss the guy.
He's a really nice guy.
He's a great human being. Yeah. And, everybody's different in their own ways. And we had agreements and disagreements through over 3-4 years. But you know what? Overall, the moments and the memories were amazing. So,
that's right.
And he's
right.
He's a pro.
And you guys put out a couple good albums too.
Much respect for him. Yeah. Oh man, like that was some of my. I look now at it and I'm thinking, yeah, I've done some fun stuff since, but I really enjoyed the times him and I really pounded the.
That's awesome, man.
Because he's got a good respect for the artists and stuff, and I think he's just got okay, this is what we need to do here. I know, Trevor. This is what we're going to do.
You know what? It's hit me now more than ever. You realize at the time that I'm like, yeah, I mean, some of these ideas that he threw out there, and that I was like, damn, like these were smart. These were smart moments. These were good moments that he put up that I probably wouldn't have had if it wasn't for him producing that side of it. So there's lots of respect there, and yeah, great guy. So
that's cool, dude. Cool.
Now I've heard a rumor. I think maybe.
Oh, is this the question?
Yes. It's not the question you're thinking, though, I don't think.
No, I think I know what you're talking about.
I think it was actually Jason that mentioned it.
Double
J.
Yeah, I call him Double J.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever call
JJ.
him now.
JJ.
JJ, everyone calls him. I got J. Double J. Double J. Double J. He just seems like Double J.
Because Trevor has to be different,
no,
so it's Double J.
It wasn't that. I was trying to give him some more props, but yeah.
That's it. But word on the street is that you're a Steve Earle fan.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've been a Steve Earle fan for quite a while. I mean, it was a lot of the old stuff I really liked. I haven't paid too much attention to him recently because I haven't.
He's been doing a lot of. He just covered Billy Joe Schaefer, because that was one of his favorite.
That's right. I remember that one.
And then he did. Yeah,
that was pretty good.
He's done Townes Van Zandt, and what's his name? I can't remember. He's not coming to my head. But his favorite songwriters.
Right.
He's done
Guy Clark.
That's the one that didn't come in. But anyway, I was like, Jason mentioned that, and I'm we kind of perked up a little bit because we're both huge,
huge Steve
Earle
fans. And there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of history there. God, what I'd say his best albums, and this is old. This was the first album he made after he came out of his short little only stint in prison there, was Train A Comin'.
Yeah, that's a good tune. That's a good
album. That album, man, it's like, I don't know what it is, but there's a lot in there that just, and it's a bluegrassy, rootsy album, but man, like as far as songwriting and the way he laid that, and he obviously had some of the best bluegrass players.
Oh, he always does. Yeah,
which
always,
helps. It didn't just help; it made like those instrumentals and harmonies were crazy.
Yeah, and like I agree with you completely. Yeah. But that's another question I had for you. When you're writing a song and you're thinking about like how you're going to put this song together and stuff, do you think of actual like, okay, I need so and so on drums on this. I got to call up so and so to play because you know what? I need a fiddle. I need this person.
You know what I do? I mean, there's some guys you get to play with, and and I mean, obviously it depends on the instrumentation. It's funny. My mom always used to ask, like, how do you decide? My dad would say that too. He's like, how would you like? I don't get how your brain works. I'm like, I don't know. I just hear, like, I can hear steel guitar on something, or I can hear like this song needs this song needs this. The odd time I get stumped and I have to ask some of these guys that are producing and engineering and say, hey, what do you, and they're like, this, and I'm like, wow, that would work. But I mean, it's one of those things where I think certain guys just would fit those certain songs certain ways. So you bring in different guys. Like I'm lucky enough to have some of the guys that play with me, and I have major respect for them, and I guess it's the same way back because they seem to like playing with me. And like Jeff Aslan on drums, he plays with the Commotions.
Oh yeah,
unbelievable. His brother as well is on sax or something like that. One of these, a horn section part, whatever too.
Horny section.
The Aslan brothers. I mean, Jeff's become a really good close friend of mine too. I got guys like Pat McLaughlin, who's a guitar wizard and sings harmonies. Amazing. He's been playing with me over the years, for a lot of years now too. But just a good guy. I mean, and he's talented to the point where like you can bring him in and he feels it and knows what he's going to put in that section. But then you got to sometimes bring guys in that are organ players, Hammond B3 stuff and whatever. And I've been lucky enough to grab guys all over the place. Alex Mastronardi is a bass player who actually is sort of produced my recent album, which I don't even have out yet. I'm just kind of sitting on it after I released one single and the pandemic hit, and everybody went online and said, look at me and my dog singing in my living room. And I looked at it and went, I can't do that. I said, I'm just going to disappear for maybe this is over.
Yeah, I was curious about that too because I saw the 2019 single and I'm like, well, there's no album. So I was going to ask about that too, but you just answered it for me.
It's sitting there, man.
Reckless Daydream,
Number 7. Yeah, Reckless Daydream. Yeah, it's basically, it's
a good tune.
Thank you, man. I like that one. That's one of the ones.
Is Rebecca on it? Who's
Rebecca,
the singer. Sorry, background singer.
Yeah. Rebecca, she's another one. Been singing harmonies for me on that there's just so many.
Rosetta too, right? My
Sweet Rosetta.
My Sweet Rosetta. Sorry.
Yeah, that's. Oh my God, my brain. Yeah, that's. Why is my brain not working?
Because we put him on the spot.
Yeah, it's okay. But that's a cool tune too.
Yeah, I've liked every one. So
yeah. And he has I don't know. He just has his own way.
That's what this thing. And I'm saying is, it reminds me of other artists that I really like. So it's kind of like, wow, my favorite so far is "I'll Be Who I Am."
You know what? That was my mom's favorite because she said that just nailed. You just totally nailed who you are.
Exactly.
I wrote it through feelings. Yeah, kind of like.
I really, really like that song.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's greatly.
Was Reckless Daydream about your mom? Kind of.
No, Reckless Daydreams is it's about a couple things. I mean, I don't get into too much. Sometimes I blend things together. It'll be feelings and whatever. But I mean, no, that song. I wrote a song just on this album that's because she actually got to hear that album before she passed away. She passed away suddenly, but she heard Reckless Daydreams. There's another song too that I really got to get out there. It's probably my next single would be In Place and Time. And that's one that I really like a lot too. And that it just talks. It's just relationship driven, and basically, some people that this In Place and Time is basically. It's not waiting, man. It's like so many people are told. Like I remember I had a girlfriend back when I was a kid. I was like 19. I opened the shop, or whatever. But basically, she was told that don't worry about it because things don't happen in your life till you're about 35. And I'm kind of like, what? That's terrible. Like, you can't tell somebody that, and that's stuck with me. And I mean, it's, I just feel so, you can't just put stuff off to 35 because you might not make. My dad's only best friend, he calls him, Charlie, basically was gone at 32. And I'm kind of going, you know what? Don't wait for the magic number. You got to keep it going. But that song, the song that I wrote about that was basically, I don't know. I mean, I've had to just do things my way. And I mean, and I didn't have it easy. Sometimes it was not the easiest way to do it. And you just got to keep getting back up. But basically the middle fingers sometimes have to come up and you just sort of say, you know what? I can't care what other people think. Exactly. I've just got to do what I know is right for me and right for other people. And hopefully I can be a part of the community someday. And that's where I'm hopefully am.
Excellent. Well,
I would say you're part of the community.
Well, thanks, man. I'm trying.
A staple.
The middle fingers worked for Johnny Cash. So,
Yeah, he liked those.
Yeah, he did that once or twice.
Yeah. Well, it's just, you just got to have a bit of that too. But I mean,
I learned that later.
Yeah, it's
I
did
too. I sort of had to because there were some people that made my life not that fun, and I basically had to just say, you know what,
see you later.
March into my own band. I can't do this
for you, man. Like, some people don't find it.
Well, or they do, but it's too late.
It's never too late.
It's never too late.
Never, brother.
Never.
It is not. Yeah, exactly.
What's your dream truck?
Going outside.
You know what?
It's pretty sick. You're going to see it after.
Oh, I'm going to see it after.
That one, the 60s, sort of, I mean, I've been lucky enough. The truck I've been driving a truck for 30 years, and it was a 49. It's a 49 Merc. I still have it. It was in my family. We used to listen to 8-track tapes of Freddie Fender and George Jones and Johnny Cash and like literally Willie Nelson. The only music you'd have to beat up to get to play it would be like you punch it and
nice.
Yeah, he stopped loving her today. I was like, whoa. I was like, what is that?
Yeah, you're like, I love it.
Yeah, my dad's funny. Just to get back, I'll get back to the truck. My dad said to me when I was playing like loud music and stuff, whatever, and I had gone through, like you said, Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne. I loved all that stuff because that was my time, right?
Yeah.
But that old music was in me, and my dad always said he'd always lean over to me, and after 6 hours of putting up with us making noise, he basically lean over and say, you'll come around, man. He said, one of these days you'll come. I'll give you 23, 25. Sure enough, like at 23, 24, I was like, I'm done with this stuff, man. I'm losing my hearing and like voice, and I started writing. And I started realizing I have a voice, and yeah, to me, it's me, man. I didn't care at the time. I was a little insecure at the time, I'll be honest with you. And I sort of, when I was a skateboard shop and what would people think and blah, blah. I learned early to just march to my own band. So I finally said, you know what, put the 2 fingers up and just say, this is who I am. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And I'm me, man. And I'm trying to be a good person. I try to do what I do for everybody. Can't be perfect, but anyways, but go back to the truck. To be honest with you, that 49 Merc is not leaving the family. Like, that's one that's going to go to my kids because it's a really cool truck that my dad, I helped a little bit, but I was, doing so much of my own teenage stuff, I wish I would have paid more attention, but I did help him with the front end. I sandblasted the front end and helped him do some stuff, but he put a lot of hours into that truck. So we had it in our family when I was younger. He renovated it, restored it, and did all that, and then we drove the heck out of it. Like, my memories in that truck are crazy. That my sister and I'd ride on the running boards, hold the windows open into my aunt and uncle's cottage in the dirt roads. We'd be lying in the back, back in 79 or 82, around there somewhere. But like, those days you could. We'd be on a foam mattress, and my parents would haul up to Renfrew, and we'd stop at Wes's Chips and Arm Prior. We'd jump out of the back, get fries, jump back in, and then we'd go like to the next parking lot to Dairy Queen right after, and then we'd jump out and we'd get our Dairy Queen, jump back in. I'm thinking these are memories and moments that truck.
Never forgot.
I've had people offer, it's like this truck, man. People want to buy it, and I'm like, I said, I want to enjoy it. Like I said, it will have to be my kids, or someone will have to continue his journey like an old guitar. I'm playing a 1947 J45 Gibson that's from Memphis, Tennessee. I'm like, what does that story, like the people that have played this thing from the 40s?
Yeah, it's so cool. I'm
lucky to have
1947, who had it first, and
who's played this thing.
Yeah.
Like, and there's another thing. I have a song called Rusty Old Strings, and that's basically what that song is about is, who's put your fingers on these strings, and like who's played these things, and I can't come to change these strings because I want to leave that history.
Well, there's another old country song. I think Whisperin' Bill wrote it. It's called This Old Guitar. and it basically talks about it's from the reference point of the guitar, right? Talking about like one night I was on stage with Johnny Cash, another night I was on stage with. So it's such a great song, and you're right. It's just like the history of these older guitars. It's just incredible. Like if you ever found out, it's like, oh wow, somebody like.
Yeah, like even the Snow Queen, the Snow Queen cool. over there.
Isn't that crazy? What like that? Is there anything more Canadian than that? Like
I absolutely love the color of it too. Like I think it's just a funky looking guitar.
It's cool. So it's like a cream colored guitar with a white headstock, and it says basically it's SS Stewart, and it says Snow Queen across the headstock. But I mean,
I dated a girl who was a Snow Queen.
Oh, did you?
As long as she wasn't,
we won't get into
dancing queen.
She may have danced
at some point. She might have. But.
Oh shit! Okay.
It's
Is anybody listening to this?
Well, there's about 20 people.
Hey, when you go on Instagram, we'll take a photo with the
guitar, with
Trevor
the truck, with everything. We're gonna go to his house, take pictures of everything he owns.
Sure. Yeah.
No, we'll go. Yeah, we want to go take a ride in the backyard.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
For sure.
Lend you a bike.
What's
absolutely.
The biggest, like if you wanted to collaborate with somebody, singer, songwriter, whomever, dead, alive, who would you choose? Like who would be your number one? I'm picking up the phone. I'm calling this person to collaborate on a song or album with me.
Wow. I mean, there's, I don't know. I mean, there's so many that I respect, and I mean, like Buddy Miller is one that comes to mind. He's, I saw him lots in Nashville there at the Americana Music Awards and stuff, and stood beside him and watched a show and said a few words to him. We never really got to know each other, but I mean, just in his presence. He's just a mellow dude, but he's a really killer guitar player, and he knows what tone's all about. He's playing old guitar. He's got the old Italian guitars, and he's got these old guitars and old amps. And to me, I love that kind of thing, and it's all about how you play those and how it feels and the feel that guy has, and he can produce. He's produced some great albums. I mean, there's a list. I mean, Buddy Miller, Lucinda Williams is another one. I've always liked Lucinda Williams. She is awesome. She's I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sort of more that kind of off the beaten path. I got to meet Emmylou Harris there in Nashville. I stood in a patio on a rain drizzling evening, and
there's Emmylou.
I was just chatting with her and just talking music a little bit, and she was super down to earth and nice, and she works like it's amazing how these people just don't know anything else. Like it's in them, it's what they do, and it's what they'll do till they drop. And like she's like still on that.
She's amazing. She's amazing. I saw her a few years ago with Rodney Crowell.
Yeah,
who's another one of my favorite singer-songwriters. Yeah, amazing.
I mean, I've sort of been hanging there with those guys too in Nashville a bit when I was in the Americana Music Awards, and it's great. I mean, I've been lucky enough to actually like even just like Canadian musicians. Like Canadians sometimes don't get that. Like there's musicians here that are better than like they should be up in the same.
Yep,
we agree. Yeah, like same speech or same talk. Yeah. We should be talking about them as much. Catherine McClellan is from Prince Edward Island, who sang My Sweet Rosetta with me.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, she's awesome. We've become she's a good friend. I haven't talked to her in probably 3 years now or so, but she's, I mean, just down to earth. She's all about, just being her, and you got to respect that. But yet she's, her dad was legendary in songwriting, and wrote Snowbird for Anne Murray and stuff like that. So
really crazy,
things like that. But I mean,
I didn't know that. Small song. That's her biggest. I think.
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
Yeah,
no, I'm kidding, Anne. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I was.
She's like a Canadian icon.
Well, she's been super good to me and just super supportive, like unbelievable. I can't thank her enough just for the fact of, filming that video. I mean, that kind of thing. That's her in the video, and basically she just did that as just to help me out. Like she basically, I hired her filmmaker buddy, and we basically just made that video, and she spent like a whole 2 days or afternoon, whatever, doing that on the island, and that's a lot. That's a lot, man. Like I feel like I owe her a lot just in friendship. She's super nice, and just in her own right. That's some music people should check out too, because she's just a beautiful singer and also songwriter too, heartfelt. So
it's awesome.
Well, since we started doing this podcast, we've learned there's a lot of talented just in this city alone, right? Like I've always been a proponent of Canadian talent, because we've got some amazing bands that have, like, from the 60s up until now. Right. We've got amazing talent.
April Wine?
I'm not saying April wine. Could you just please stop?
He loves April wine.
Yes, and I do, but it's not the only Canadian band out there.
I
I
know,
realize
I
that.
know.
There's this other one called The Hip. They were all right.
Yeah, they were okay too.
Yeah, they were okay.
Did you ever meet them? Did you ever meet
You know
them?
what's funny is I did not, but there's a story there. I was actually I had talked my dad into making a half pipe that was 12 feet wide, 5 feet high on the back of his stock car trailer that folded up into like a transport trailer shape. And we had hauled it around to do demos. We'd unfold it. We had like 300 people around the ramp. We'd be doing demos at Riverfest in Brockville, and we'd be at like whatever the days are. Arnprior has, is it Loyalist? I don't know. They have these certain sort of a celebration thing. Yeah. We'd be there. We'd be in Kingston. We'd be in Arnprior. We'd be like all over the Ottawa Valley and whatever. But I remember being at is it Riverfest?
I think it's Riverfest.
Riverfest in Brockville. This is back. Like, this is a long time. This is in the 90.
It's okay. Well, I'm old. So
this basically was when the Hip, no one knew who the Hip was.
Yeah, when they first came
I think
about.
they might have had their self-titled album, Tragically Hip album.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was before Up to Here. Up to Here is one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's a great album.
To me, it's just amazing. Like, it's
this man over here is probably the biggest fan that I know of the Hip.
Okay, and I mean, like I said, there's a lot of people who love their music, but the funny thing is they were playing on this stage in front of, like, I don't know,
couple hundred people,
maybe 600, 400, something like that. Just people just saying, "Who's this?" And they're playing in front of them, and we had just done a demo, so we were over, slamming around there and just enjoying it. And it was like, man, these guys are. Yeah, this is really good stuff. And it's like Canadian. It felt really good. It's good rock, And sure enough, turns out it's like, it's this little band that turns into part of Canadian history.
Canadiana, right?
And there's other bands that are just like, God, you can't just.
Yeah, you're
there's
right.
so many bands that are as good as the Tragic Hip or better.
Yeah, agreed.
And there are. And some of them will never get the chance because they don't become, CBC sweethearts or they don't
overnight
become
sensations.
Yeah.
10 years down the road.
Yeah, I'm more the people that pound the trails. I like the guys and girls that just are out there, people out there, and they're just doing what they do because they can't not do it.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, it's a passion.
Passion driven, man. That's
just it, right? And it's just, that's probably why you kind of like gravitate towards Steve Earle too, because he's always on. I don't think the guy stays home.
Which album did we go to see him play?
It was it was the 30th anniversary of Guitar Town.
Guitar Town.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a good one.
It's funny because
I love that album. Actually.
I always get tickets when he's around.
Yeah,
and it's like he's playing Kingston. Well, why isn't he coming here?
Yeah.
So I jump on the tickets for Kingston. A week later, he opens up
Ottawa. Yeah,
and I'm like, James, we're going to Kingston to see the. I don't have to convince him. I just have to tell him.
Yeah.
So anyway,
we
drive down there, and we're standing outside after having some Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
And we look over and there's a bus. And we're like, well, that's Steve Earle's bus. James like, really? I said, yeah. He just walked by the window.
Yeah. Or no, he was sitting in the window, actually.
But then we go inside.
Pretty down-to-earth guy, actually.
Yep. And then we go inside.
Opinionated.
He's been dude. He's
got he's a political guy.
When he's on stage, basically, he said it when he was on stage. One time I was watching him, repeated it 3 times, so I've seen him. But basically, he said he's the owner. He has to keep going because he's got so many freaking children to pay for.
Yeah.
Like he said,
he's got 7 wives.
I think he said he was paying $30,000 US a month.
Yeah,
like he's got so really, it might not be passion driven as much as
monetary.
IRA. Yeah, the people will be after him if he doesn't.
He can't hide either. It's like
you're basically just just keep on moving, man. So there's you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, exactly, man.
But he's been married like 7 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, at
but
least.
Guys, there's a lot of great people. Like, I got to mention people like Sean Scallon from Spectre Sonic. I don't know if you know Sean or not. Do you know Sean?
No.
Okay, my God, man, this guy's been bringing in music. Like, he was punk music for years, and then now he's the one. Like last time I had seen Steve Earle or anyone he brings in. Well, I just opened for
Cor Blund.
There you go.
Welcome.
The name, local Canadian, basically.
They're
dude.
awesome too.
And I opened for that crew, and it's funny because it turns out his bass player Sean is a guy that booked shows for me and was as a musician as well, and he just sort of joined them or whatever. So I'm chatting backstage with him after. But I got to open for them. But I get a call from Sean just because he knows it'll work. This is the guy I want in here to open for them. But just to have that kind of support, I'm fortunate, man. Like, I get the call for Kempville Live and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm just very. I got to put those words out because guys like Sean are like behind the scenes, and he deserves more credit than a lot of people have given him. And yes, he's making a living out of it now.
But it
was not good for 20 years. Like, I mean, he's been doing this for 35 years. So there's a big respect there. And
never given up.
No.
Never given up.
Yeah, you say you're fortunate, but you're also talented too. So
you're very talented.
You know, it's not
a decent guy.
And you're well.
Okay.
He likes old country. He likes Steve Earle. He's good in my books. That's all I need to know.
Dad. Yeah, he's a good. Yeah, he's got. Yeah, he's.
Owns a skate shop.
Should we?
Can't be much cooler than that.
Okay, I can ask the question then.
Do it.
Funny.
So we ask everybody this question, okay, and it's just a simple thing because Dawg and I are from different eras, but 80s music or 90s music.
Oh,
dun, dun.
I would have to say 80s. Yeah, I'd have to, as much as because there was a mess in the 80s, but the mess from the 80s got enlarged in the 90s. I think. Does that make sense? Yeah. There were some good stuff in the 90s too. I shouldn't say that, but I don't know. To me, it's like you can push and pull and I don't know. Like I mean, there was good songs coming out. Like whether you say something like Cyndi Lauper or something like that or whatever. Like I don't care. Like Annie Lennox. Like come on, the Eurythmics. I mean that was that was 80s.
Yeah, she was
that was all
70s, early 80s, like with Blondie.
So
and all that.
She didn't go much into the 90s then, did she?
She did on her own.
Yeah.
On her solo. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Some amazing stuff on her own.
Eurythmics stuff like that. Like I mean, that's one of my wife's. She loves Annie Lennox. I mean, you can't. You know what I mean? There was great music happening and talented human beings, and you got to just pick through that. Like, I mean, I went through back to Ozzy, man, like Diary of a Madman and Blizzard of Oz and things like that. Like, come on. Like, I still listen to that, and I still kind of, it's moments, it's things in my mind. I'm like, that music was, it was there for a reason, whether you like it or not. Some people don't like it at all, whatever. I was into Black Sabbath a bit before that. So then when I heard that, I was kind of like, but there was all kinds of stuff, There was messes. There was, stuff we should have never had to go through, like Platinum Blonde.
Oh, shots fired.
That's in the 80s, guys, just so you know.
It is 80s, but that's
calm down.
90s, I mean, okay.
Oh, sorry.
90s, what?
Wait,
the grunge era wasn't good?
We're going to pick apart the 90s now?
Kurt Cobain wasn't a good songwriter?
Oh, stop it.
He even said he shouldn't be a star. It's funny. You watch the interviews and he was like, I don't get your crap. He said, we're just a little band. He said, you guys can hype it up as much as you want. But he basically didn't get it.
Yeah.
And like, I love that. That's the one thing I do love about it. He had some issues.
So for the next show, I'm going to go and find a whole bunch of 90s crap so I can.
Oh, there's lots.
I know there's lots.
Yeah, there's.
See,
lots.
so to put it in perspective, I love hip hop too. So
that's cool.
So hip hop in the 90s it was the best. The best hip hop came out of the 90s,
and I could see that actually. I can,
Big E, Tupac,
What do you think when you think of like because it's just moments in my memory, but I mean, I remember. Having a cassette Walkman and sitting on the bus and taking the saran wrap off of a cassette tape, and I put it in, and it's like, now, no sleep till Brooklyn.
Oh, I fucking love the Beastie Boys.
The Beastie Boys, man, come on.
Yeah. And I was actually talking to Dawg about Beastie Boys, but he didn't realize they were a real band, like a real, like they could play music.
I didn't know. I thought they were just like rappers, right?
Music guys who loved hip hop and roots and things like that. And what happened is it came this blend, but what a blend, like to have, No Sleep Till Brooklyn come out. And I'm like, it just.
Sabotage
is great too.
Sabotage. You can't even, where did that come from?
I know.
And I still put that on now. And I'm Sabotage like, if you don't recognize that as something in music that changed music, it did. And I mean, and but that moment of sitting on a bus with my little headphones on and just closing that door and not knowing what I was about to experience, it will never leave me.
Yep.
So I value those moments, man. You got to value them, whether it's,
I still have a few cassettes. You still have some cassettes at home?
My wife been trying to get me to get rid of this. I have this big tub of cassettes. So if anybody, I could probably give you, I have a ton of like about 150 cassettes that
I'll stop by.
I might give them to you. if they'd get loved. Although my daughter just bought an 86 Toyota Dolphin 21-foot camper.
Oh shit!
And it's got a cassette tape, and her and her buddy bought this together. Nice. And they said, "Do you have any cassettes?" I'm like, "Oh, we might have kept those cassettes." Yeah, see why we kept those cassettes?
That's right.
I still
have 86 Dolphin.
Yeah, and then 86. She's just total.
She's you, man.
Oh, she's her
that's
own,
what
but she's got a lot of something in there. She's just doing what she does. She's a surfer. She's surfing, man. She actually,
Jensen,
she texted me and said, like, Dad, I used to surf. She goes, I am now a surfer.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I went, that moment when you turn on the wave and you carve front side into the wave,
and then
you're not just riding whitewash out trying to survive and live.
Exactly, you're going against the grain into the.
I still do that.
Hardest thing I ever did was try surfing. I love it, but yeah, getting up is the hardest part, and then staying up.
I would master the falling down part for sure.
Oh well, we were in California.
I know.
And it was.
You think
you're in Surf City, and like it's like I don't know. I'll try this out.
You think you can't fall that hard? Oh my God, dude! Some of my
can.
hardest falls were like surfing or a board nailing me on the top of the head with a rip curl on top of it, and you're kind of going, "What just happened?"
Yeah,
you're looking for bubbles to see which way's up.
Yeah,
it's like this is not good.
Yeah, no, and those guys like the big wave surfers and stuff.
Yeah.
Like
that's insane.
Nuts.
They are insane. Well, you know what about cassettes? I never bought them.
Really, you were all still vinyl.
I was still vinyl, and then when CDs came out, I went right straight to CDs. I never, but I made cassettes. Like I would make my own mixtapes and stuff, but I never bought a store. Only once I was at a show. It was this group called the Underground Outlaws. This is like 25, 30 years ago, and they had cassettes. And I bought the cassette, and then we went and saw them the next night. And I bought the CD, so I got them both signed by this band, and they were awesome. And then they kind of just disappeared.
I got to tell you something, man. Basically, the death of CDs is making touring tough. Like, literally, like that's how you filled the jar up. And you talk to most musicians, it was something that you could get your music out there and it would be affordable, but yet you could make a margin on. Like you could, like if you made enough of them, I mean, you're doing $200-300, you're up into whatever dollars. But I mean, basically, for $2, you could basically make 1,000 CDs. And you'd sell them for $15, and you'd be touring and working hard, but you'd get that money back. Now you tour, and it's like, I'll check you on Spotify, and you're kind of like, I had this one guy at Core Blunt, actually, which was kind of nice after the show. Refreshing, and I hope it comes to this more often, but a lot of people don't do this. He basically handed me $25 and said, I'm going to get your music on Spotify, but I want to support you.
Nice.
And I was like, damn. I said, that's probably the coolest thing. I said, I really shook his hand. I said, I really appreciate that, because I said, most people just... Later, I get an invoice from them, and it's like I made $28.16, and the breakdown over 480 downloaded songs that were taken, and you're getting 0.06 of a cent, 0.004 of a cent, 0.6 of a cent, and I'm kind of going, do you see the problem with this? So these big companies have taken all the money, all the control. And just axed out anyway for the little guys. So you got to be a rock star. You got to be a pop star. You can't just, I'm not selling out. Like this festival I'm playing, a couple thousand people there or whatever. But I mean, it's pay the band, pay me, and go down the road. That's basically what it is.
Apparently Trevor can read upside down, because that's one of our questions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even look.
It was sort of
very well.
If you could change one thing about the music industry, and it's basically monetization of how, like, the smaller.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you were I didn't
even know you were on there. Sorry.
No.
Let's jump ahead into it.
Not at all.
And you're absolutely right. And I think that every person that we've asked this similar question has said monetization, because it's the smaller bands that suffer. Like the big bands are fine, right? They're touring, they're getting paid $1 million a show, or
put your song out there free on Spotify, and then you get more fans to come pay you $2 million per concert. And it's kind of like, well, that's easy. If you're doing $32 million concerts, your life's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
you're doing all right. You're not running a skate shop, and
no.
You would anyway, though.
You still would for sure.
He'd have he'd just have more cool trucks.
Yeah. One of my music friends I toured with, the best quote ever was when I said, do you want to come on tour or whatever? And he was a young guy, and he basically said, yeah, I'm down for the struggle. And I kind of went, that is basically every day. It's like, if you're not down for it, you got to embrace those moments, embrace that time. And if you don't,
you're done.
Yeah, well, you're not out there. A lot of people think I'm crazy.
Well, it's people don't see the destination. They only see the destination. They don't enjoy the process of getting to that point where you're seeing success, but you don't care about it because you're just doing what you want to do. Well, Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, but if people saw, when I've had some people say, "Oh, does your family tour with you?" I'm like, "Holy shit, dude, that would be so hard." Like I couldn't do that, because I said, number one, you have to wear your dad hat, and your husband hat, and then you're trying to focus for a show, and you can't. Like, you literally, when I go to play over in Europe, it's basically every year for 11, 12 straight years, it was like you go over there and you've got 13 shows in 14 days. And if you have a voice left and have any kind of brains left, you basically just load your ass on the plane, you fly 8.5 hours home, and then all of a sudden you're back to your family and you've got to just act like your dad again. I'm kind of like, I'd be numb for 2 days, 3 days. Like I literally would be just, okay, guys, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to, I just stepped out of this and now I'm stepping back in, but I'm trying, and I'll start the legs running and I'd be tripping because my brain would be like, it takes a while to get that, even 2-3 weeks. But I'd go over there and I'd just, you pound the trails like 3,600 kilometers, and I did it with a broken freaking hip. I had pins in my hip, and I was over there against doctor's orders. I flew, and he's like, "You can't fly," and I'm like, "I just broke my femur." I said, "What do I need? Because I'm going to get back. I'm not canceling. It took me 9 months to book this tour." Mm-hmm. And he's basically, "You're crazy," but he said, "Back on blood thinners." He said, "You got to get up every 20 minutes." So I literally had my hip held together by 3 bolts, and he can't put any weight on it. He said, "You'll bend the bolts." So I just kind of went, you know what, I'm a skateboarder, man. So I'm going over and playing. But it was some moments. I remember playing and
you're in pain.
You're on like it's painkillers and German beer, and you're sitting there with crutches beside your chair, and it's, you read about this stuff. But I remember like going through a song, and all of a sudden everything just kind of like like I literally didn't know if my brain my body
shut her down.
It's almost like when you're driving home from Prince Edward Island after a tour on a Sunday night, 15 straight hours.
Yeah.
And you got a pizza on the passenger seat, and you're getting towards Montreal, and you literally everything just, and then you're like, comes back and like, okay, I got to pull over. Yep. So you pull over and you do jumping jacks and you eat chocolate and you just get back on the rest.
Oh yeah,
that's how glamorous this shit is, man.
Wow.
It's not. It
I
is.
want to do this now. It's so glamorous.
We should go. We should take the podcast on tour.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
It would be fun.
That would be fun, man.
Yeah, maybe we'll get to that point
you should
someday.
At
some point, you know what? I would love that.
It.
That would be so good.
Wouldn't it be fun?
Set up a little enclosed trailer. Like think of this, a little closed work truck trailer. You drive up to someone, you open a freaking flap, and you invite freaking musicians in before they're starting to play their show or something. That'd be amazing,
wouldn't it? Because everybody would say yes.
I'd follow you if you want. I could just follow you around and just say, "Well, Trev's here again."
Trev,
there's Trev again.
Find us the caravan, like an old school Dolphin.
Nice.
Yeah, if only we knew someone with one of those.
Yeah. Could happen.
Yeah, let's make that happen.
Yeah. I'm in.
That's our retirement podcast stuff.
What do you mean retirement?
Well, we retire from our regular jobs.
We just talked about it. We're no time like the present, bro.
I know. I'm saying retire from our regular jobs.
Yeah,
and do this. This is what you want.
I know. This is what I want.
Yeah.
This is my passion project, and I want to be.
Yeah.
This is where I want to be.
And this is so amazing, like where we started from and where we are right now with like amazing people coming in and talking to us.
It's true.
Fantastic.
And it's amazing. And thank you, Trevor, for coming.
Man.
And
seriously,
your time is obviously you're slammed with time. Father, parent, husband, store, skateboard shop. All the things.
A couple of things he's got on the go.
I've also got to get a set list to my band for the July 23rd show at Kempville Live, because basically they're all like, "What's your problem, dude? It's a month." I'm like, "Get me the." I'm like, I said, "You know the songs." I said, "Just tell me what you want to play."
Yeah.
I'm like, and then I'll be there practicing. And then trying to get 5 guys together. Like I've got. Oh my God!
It's hard, probably. Everybody's got their other stuff.
I got Tyler Keeley on keys playing with me that time. There's Pat McLaughlin. There's Alex Masternardi. There's Jeff Aslan. And you're like texting back and forth going, okay, well, this guy can do these 2 days. We can't do that day. And this guy can do. I'm like, oh my God, this is like pulling nose hair.
It's like herding cats.
Yeah, it's not. I never wanted the band thing. I'll never forget my bass player said to me, it was the last time I played with him. We played for 12 years together in bands. And I was so frustrated. I'm like, dude, you guys are not taking this serious. I was about to start to get. So I don't want to be a local musician. I want to be someone who's out on the road touring.
Yep.
These guys didn't see that, like they were good and they whatever, but they just didn't practice. And I said, you guys aren't putting in the time. So I'm a bit pissed off here. And my bass player took me aside after and he said, I can tell you're upset, man. And he said, why don't you just you book the shows, you write the songs, you put the band together, you do all the stuff, organizing, you do all this stuff. why? He goes, why don't you just hire musicians as you need them, kind of thing. He said, why would you do the band thing? Just go under your name. And I'm like, I said, you're right, man. I said, you're fired. Basically, we're still tight friends.
Well,
we stopped playing music that day together because I'm like, we've outgrown each other here because you guys don't see it this way. And
but what a great friend!
It was a great friend moment
because the real friends tell you what's up.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
What a great friend to do that.
That is a really cool moment.
Sure. And that's kind of funny because it kind of was one of the questions I had to ask about using session musicians versus using guys you go out on the road with, right?
That's my mental telepathy thing. Yeah. My mom gave me that. We used to have these things like literally we could communicate. I don't know what it is. There's something there. I feel things coming.
Nice.
Feels things coming in the wind, It's just the way it works. Ooh. You got to take the wind and say, what's going on today? Yep. Like this podcast.
Yeah, honestly, we could talk to this guy
guys, this is
be here till
so
tomorrow.
Fun, man.
Yeah, we'll have you back.
I'd love to come back.
Appreciate
I'll come
you
back
coming.
With some more stories after being on the road again.
Yes, on the road again.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a Willie shirt.
I know you are.
I gotta say it.
Just can't wait to get on
the road again. Now we're gonna both sing to you. Yeah, doggy. All right, thanks again, Trevor, and
thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Hopefully, maybe we get out to Kempville.
I would like to get out to Kempville to see that show.
That would be
I'm
awesome,
20 minutes from there, so.
Well, then it's a done deal. We're going.
Gonna be a fun afternoon. Like I said, it'll be filled with music there. So get out there, spend the Saturday.
Absolutely. It's Canadiana too, right? There's a lot of Canadian acts at these Kempville shows, which is amazing.
Yep. Love it. Check out his store too on deck.
Thank you, man. Yes. I appreciate that.
Because on
Bentley Avenue.
Bentley Avenue.
I am sporting an awesome hat.
James
called it, but I'm going to call it a hoodie. I'm going to call it
a winter hat. It's a toque.
Yeah, it's a toque, eh?
Beanie, toque. They say beanie, but beanie's kind of like, I don't know, is it a beanie?
No, I've got a beanie.
Because you can't fold up a beanie.
Yeah.
I was going to say, to me, we're Canadian, I'd say toque.
It's a toque.
It's a toque.
And it's an awesome toque.
It's a fucking toque.
It's a toque.
I don't know what's Scottish, but it's toque to me.
It's toque.
Anyways, have a great week, guys.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.